Hello again. Today I want to do something a little bit different by combining the 3 common misconceptions premise with a more broad, sweeping, thematic meta-analysis. But before we get into that, I just want to say thank you to all my wonderful patrons for making this episode possible. Now, what do I mean by that title? 3 common misconceptions about Jason, Todd and Cassandra Cain and the act of killing. Well, this video is inspired by a lot of things, such as various meta I've read, my own musings, and one particularly insightful statement I saw on Tumblr, but before I get to that, I need to establish some context. Jason Todd, at least as he was in Under the Red Hood and other similar works, was not some roaming avenger who just kills every criminal he sees, or who only kills ones that cross some moral line. Or to put it another way, he was not in any way, shape or form the Punisher. Broadly speaking, he is someone who to varying degrees views murder as justified in certain context or necessary to accomplish a greater goal, i.e. justified or at least acceptable as an act of revenge for a loved one, or necessary in a utilitarian context to accomplish a goal like establishing control over the drug trade to impose rules and regulations in order to protect people. This is obviously in stark contrast to his childhood self who saved the Joker, argued in favour of Penguin's redemption, even down to his last breath tried to protect the woman who sold him out to the Joker. Meanwhile, there is Cassandra Cain, who is defined by her desire to save all lives no matter who. She always puts everyone before herself and no one is expendable. Nobody dies tonight. Given she was raised as an assassin with nary a concept of people as anything but targets outside of her father, her own experiences meant to shape her into a weapon and not a person. This obviously makes how she turned out a rather stark contrast to her environmental teaching and life experience up until her first kill. So what are the common misconceptions I'm talking about? Well, one I already talked about, namely that Jason is often saddled with a sort of Avenger mentality, or that he is too emotional and kills without thinking, or just somehow doesn't understand that murder is wrong and won't fix crime. The second is for Cassandra, and it's often the reverse, namely that she is too naive and needs to learn that some people can't be saved. You know, edgy stuff. With the third and final one being that there is a lot they could learn from each other, and just, in my eyes, no. Not to say that people aren't allowed to think that, this is just my take on the matter. The thing that must be understood, to me at least, is that even if it wasn't intentional, Jason and Cassandra create almost perfect thematic foils to one another that also gain nothing from interacting with one another. Because here's the thing. Neither of them is unaware of the implication of their stances, neither one is ignorant as to the ramifications of their actions, neither one is unthinking as to the nature of their beliefs. That is to say, that both of them when growing up were in one way or another deeply driven and committed to their ideals. For Jason, it was preserving life. For Cassandra, it was to treat all people as mere targets, but then their experiences with death flipped the script. Jason was murdered, so naturally his headspace when dealing with thorny topics like murder and morality is to come at it from that perspective, that of the victim. Cassandra killed, young, an act so horrific to her that she spent years seeking her own death, and that will naturally inform her perspective on murder, as that of the killer. Their experiences with death inform how they approach the subject of murder going forward, now and forever. I said now and forever. Both characters spent years in self-reflection, travelling, growing, encountering challenges to their ideals both before and after their returns or introductions. Neither one is not cogent to the nature or consequences of their beliefs, nor are they lacking in self-reflection on the subject. There is nothing they can say or show to one another that would shake their resolve or introduce them to some as of yet unseen perspective, because both of them have seen the other side of the aisle, lived, died or killed on it and became the people they are in response to it. And thus there is no switch, no well-placed word or example that could or would change their resolve. Or so I believe at least. That's all for today, so thanks for tuning in. As always, if you'd like to help out with these videos, please feel free to swing by my Patreon or my Ko-fi. There you can do stuff like get early previews of my work or commission 3D models. Thanks for stopping by.